Hello, and welcome to another episode of Soul and Story. I'm clean or Christian historical romance author Sara R. Turnquist, and I am currently working through the very middle of the last book in my Lady of Bohemia medieval series. I hope that made sense to everybody. But you might also notice that we're coming to you from a different location. Both of us are. And we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Absolutely. And I am Cindy Smith. I am a lover of all things clean historical, contemporary romance. I love all of that. I also love all things Jane Austen. And as I've said before, I just finished the first draft of my very first novel, and I'm in the midst of proofreading and doing some more character development to make the characters really come alive in the story. So I'm excited about that. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. And as Sarah said, we are coming from a different location this week. So why don't you tell us where we are, Sarah, and why we're talking about the importance of taking breaks. So where are we, and why is it important to take a break?
Well, we have taken a short getaway, or relatively short. It's about a week altogether, but to Central Florida. And for me, taking a break can be important because I can be such a perfectionist and I tend to thrive on busyness, which can be a rather dangerous, stress inducing constant in my life. I take on a lot and don't often think about myself and needing rest. I feel like sometimes I might bulldoze my family a little bit with all the things I need to get done. So, in that way, I tend to be self motivated, but I also think that I don't think a lot about self care and needing rest, like physical rest beyond sleeping and just the time to get away. We've chatted before about the importance of pausing or taking a rest, and those things are true on the daily, weekly level and on the seasonal, bigger getaway kind of level. What about
Yeah.
you, Cindy?
Well, I am very much like you. I thrive on being busy. I would like to think I don't, but if I sit back and I'm honest, I I get myself really overwhelmed with busyness.
Mhm.
And what is crazy is before I go on vacation, I always schedule stuff either like right before I leave on vacation, or right after I get back. So in all honesty,
Mhm.
I do thrive on busyness. And it's interesting that when I go on a trip, it usually takes me about 24 hours to relax and kind of let go of all the things that I think that I need to be doing. And it's hard for me
Mhm.
to shift gears, but I think it's very important because taking breaks helps me to be more productive. It helps me to have the energy to do all the things that I do throughout my day.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is almost like a reset, if you will. But not only have we come to Central Florida, we have also brought each of us a daughter with us for kind of a girls' getaway.
Yes.
But that gives us not only a creation of physical distance from the rapid pace of our lives in Middle Tennessee, but we're also able to slow down in this different environment. We can read and talk and spend some slow meals with friends, maybe visit a theme park, which is a little bit faster paced, but take it at a slower pace. It is a great emotional and mental rest too, dare I say, a little bit of self therapy to just slow down and spend some time with our thoughts and process those thoughts. As I've mentioned before, I used to live in this region of the United States here in Central Florida. So it's been great to see and spend time with and catch up with some of the friends that are still here.
Yeah,
What
and you
about you,
have
Cindy?
well, I think you've been very generous by sharing your friends with me, and I now consider them my friends too, and I love coming to Central Florida with you. It's and I've also gotten to the point where I kinda know my way around a little bit, so it's not like I'm in this overwhelmed feeling of not knowing
Mhm.
my way around, so coming here has really helped me, um, to relax. And Mandy just put in a note. She says it's important to show your daughters a way to chill with other women, and that
Mhm.
is so true. I hope that that is something that we are teaching our girls, that it's okay to slow down every once in a while and
Mhm.
take care of ourselves, because um, we do live in a society that's like go go go, do.
Yes, so
You're
true.
you're valued by what you do and how you, you know,
Mhm.
um, get.
What you produce.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, I do have to say though, one year we came down here to Florida, and it was in January, I think, and we had all these
Mm.
plans. And the first morning we're here, we're
Oh,
eating
yeah.
breakfast, and I get a call from my doctor back home saying, "You have COVID." So we quickly got up from breakfast and we went back to our townhouse that we were staying in, and we spent the rest of the week ordering food to be delivered and watching different TV shows and some really questionable movies that were like, "Oh, that was 2 hours I will never get back from my life." But even
Yes.
that, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I definitely wish that we could warn others away from these movies that were kinda like, "Oh, I didn't know I wanted to lose time, but I apparently did."
Yeah,
But I don't wanna disparage other creative work, so
right. But we also we rested. That trip, we were able to really rest
mm,
and recharge.
God knew what we needed. God knew what
Yeah.
we needed that time.
Yeah, and I also
Mhm.
have really enjoyed this trip, getting to know my daughter a little bit deeper, but also getting to know your daughter. She's at such a fun age,
Mm,
and just seeing her love of life and just how she has such a positive attitude, and everything is, the glass is not
mhm,
half empty or half full. It's full to running over with her, and
yeah.
I love that, and I just, you know, I I'm looking forward to, because she's at that age now that she can come on more girls trips because she's
Mhm.
one of the girls now.
Yeah, and I had gone back and forth about whether or not to bring her, just because part of me wanted it to be a stress-free break for me, but I got some really wise advice from some ladies that I trust. And that was the thought process, was this could be good for her, be very memorable for her, and it would be, as has been mentioned, an opportunity for her to see some healthy woman to woman relationships. My daughter is about to turn 16, so she is at that very sweet, tender age, and she is on the spectrum. So, what that means for her, she is on the higher functioning end of that spectrum, but she is kind of emotionally younger than she is physically. And so it's been neat to enjoy that and embrace that about her. And I've enjoyed spending more time with your daughter as well. Cindy's daughter is in her 20s and really just kind of embracing life and all the wonderful things about it as well. And so she has a really unique perspective and a really deep compassion for other people. So
Yeah,
it's been good to get to know her.
absolutely.
Although it has been hot. So I
Yeah.
have found once again that I am very thankful. I'm sorry, all my eyes leaking. I'm so very thankful for air conditioning and the people who make that happen.
Yeah.
Getting away can break the pace of life and gives me a chance to reevaluate the way I spend my time. And sometimes I can put friends off to later, but it reconnects me not only with the friends here and with Cindy, but also it makes me realize once again how much I value those friendships and how much I want to pour into those people and let my friends pour into me. I also see how important it is to stop and take that daily time with the Lord and really let my day come forth from that. It's unfortunately all too easy for me to let that time with the Lord be something that just goes by the wayside when I get super busy.
It is easy to do. And I think there are stages in our life where we have more time and less time. And so it is good to have that time to reconnect with the Lord too. And one of the things
Mm,
that I really admire about you is how you do connect to your friends, how that is important
mm,
to I've moved a lot in my life, and
mm,
I have kept in contact with friends, but it's something that I struggle with because you
mm.
move and you get into a new life, and but those friendships that I have kept and connected, stayed connected with, have are so important to me. I have one girlfriend, I've known her since 1977, and I just, keeping that contact with her, and then friends that I met in high school that I still keep. We only get to keep in contact through Facebook or Messenger, but we're still
Yeah.
stay connected, and that's just like really,
Which
really.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not done. Just it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that with the tools that we have at our disposal today, it is so much easier to stay in contact with people once you have moved from one place to another, or when your season of life shifts and you don't see certain friends as much. But following people on like social media where you can keep up with their life a little bit and see how their family's going, things like Zoom and StreamYard and FaceTime and all of these tools, video texting, Marco Polo, all of these things make it so much easier to keep up with the people that have been in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I am kind of noticing about myself, well, and not just noticing it, but it's something I'm thinking about now that I've had a time to take a break this week. Um, I am constantly striving to make myself better. It's something that
Mm,
I'm like, I can't be satisfied with where I am. I need to keep going. I need to keep getting better. And I feel like the Lord, through my quiet time and just stopping, it's like, okay, you don't need to be striving so much. You don't need to be
mm,
constantly trying this or trying that or doing this or you know. And he doesn't want me to feel like I'm not enough or I'm not.
mm,
I don't want. Not that's not really the what I'm looking for, but like I'm not. He wants me to be thankful for who I am today
mm.
in this moment. And one of the passages that I'm reading a book, and one of the passages that she mentions in there is from Psalm 34:8. It says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him." And I feel like this trip is like, okay, yeah, Lord, I need to remember to taste and see that you are good. And
Mm.
that needs to be my focus.
That is so true, Cindy. I think first, as you mentioned, I think we tend to focus on what's not getting done instead of the mountain of stuff that we accomplish. I think many of us are just wired that way. And it is easy to forget how good he is, especially when we're just raw with stress and anxiety over our lives. The stress and anxiety will always be there. It's more important about how we engage with that. It's more about how we engage with that stress. So we are taking this break after about of particularly stressful weeks for me and for Cindy, as she mentioned. She scheduled a lot of things right before we left, and I did the very same thing. But I've been doing a ton of. They're mowing the lawn. They are mowing the lawn right now. I hope it's not too loud. Um, but at any rate, I've been doing a ton of editing projects, and that has really taken me away from my work, and it has had me working longer hours and so on. And when we get back, I'll be full throttle, if I can find my words,
Yes.
prepping for several speaking engagements as soon as we get back. But this trip has helped me reset, re energize for the next few months, and hopefully taught me a little bit more, or taught me once again how important it is to pace that that time and those things. I have found for myself that there is a need to get away, even for an evening or an overnight, once every 3 months as possible. That's just really the place for me that I found I need that break. If for no other reason than my mental well being, I've come to recognize and respect. I need to respect this about myself, because it will only lead to my own detriment and unfortunately to my interactions with the people around me if I ignore that about myself. We can't always make that happen every 3 months, but it is so beneficial when it does happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what you're saying makes me think about how often in our daily lives, when we're home and doing the things in life, we are always pouring out into the people around us, our
Mhm.
husbands, our children, friends. I know that with your editing, you really want to encourage these writers. You're not just editing, you see it as a way to mentor
Mhm.
them. And so I think we get to a point where we're trying to pour out of an empty cup, and we can't do that. Yeah,
Mhm.
the breaks that we have are when we need to be filling ourselves, and that can be sleeping late. It could be, having more time with the Lord. It could be just sitting down and reading a book for fun, or watching a movie,
Mhm.
or going to a theme park, or no, not when it's hot.
Mhm.
That's not a lot of fun.
It was
But
still good. It was
it
still
was
good. We had fun. We enjoyed each other, but there is no denying that it was hot, and maybe our trips to theme parks need to happen in the spring, winter, and fall.
absolutely late fall and early spring
Late
because
fall.
it gets, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but it's easy, I think, to also get confused. It is easy to confuse resting with taking a break. It is important, like we've talked in the past, about taking a rest, having a time to rest. But I think taking a break is when we disconnect from our everyday life, and we can
Mm.
not have all of our schedules. We cannot have to have all of the, I have to do this. Even like, haven't done the dishes every day since we've been here. We haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, I have
Don't
straightened
look at
my
the
bed.
sink, everybody.
Yeah, don't look at the sink.
Sink.
And don't look at my nightstand in my room, because I haven't, like, I just have all my stuff spread out. So, like, I'm not being as neat here as I am when I'm at home. But we did decide, you and I decided we're doing laundry today so that when we get home, we don't have to worry about that. But, you know, just not even having to do our normal daily chores,
Mhm.
that taking a break helps us to just say, almost like we're here, we can take a breath and not have
Mhm.
something hanging over our head at all times.
Yeah. I think the truth is that we need self-care. And as you mentioned, we do. I'm sorry, y'all. My I don't know if it's my allergies, but my eyes really watering. But we need people pouring into us, and we need time to, like I mentioned, reevaluate, re-energize. That is unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, a non-negotiable. If we cannot get a break, not necessarily going out of town, but a pause, if you we will see a rise in stress, restlessness, and general increasing difficulty to manage things. Think about
Mhm.
the new parents, or when you were a new parent, or if you are a new parent right now. New parents don't typically get a break because they're caring for a very, I'm going to say, high maintenance little
Mhm.
human. And
Mhm.
they, or you, whether that's you now or in the past, become so tired, drained, emotionally unable to manage stress as well as they normally do. I remember those days, and even though I was dealing with something beyond the normal baby tiredness, I was, in the throes of a postpartum depression. Those days were rough, and you feel just sensory raw because you're not getting enough sleep, and just emotionally raw, and all the things.
Yeah. And they don't send us home with a manual. They don't send us home from the hospital with this little baby and a manual that says, here's how to do
Yeah.
XYZ.
And
And
honestly, how many people would read that manual? Just
not
saying.
many.
I would
Yeah.
have, but anyways.
And so, I mean, when I had my first child, everyone's like, "Oh, they sleep so much when they're a newborn." So Sean's like, "Do I need to take any time off?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just she's gonna be sleeping all the time. You go back to work." Oh, goodness
Mhm.
gracious, that was crazy. When we lived overseas, we lived in China for 3 years, and when a woman has a baby, for the first month, she has someone who comes and, like, usually it's a mother-in-law or a mother, and they come and they stay for the first month, and they
Mm,
change the baby, they bathe the baby, they make you meals that
mhm,
are supposed to help you regain your strength, and so you're not, I mean, you have that month to adjust to being a parent, and you
mhm,
have someone there to be a support, and we don't have that. Um, I will say at my stage in life, I'm kind of an empty nester, and I feel like I have a lot more time on my hands, um, and when I was a new mom, I had women speak into my life, encouraging me. And so I have such a heart for these young mamas. And so
mm,
I do try to encourage them and support them. And I can't tell you the number of times I've had a friend say, "Hey, I'm getting ready to go out of town and leave my kids at home. And I just feel so guilty." And I'm like, don't, don't feel guilty. I mean, don't
mhm,
just go away and not come back. But, it's okay as a mom to get away and be with other women. Um, Go to a conference, go
mhm,
to a girls' trip. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And at this stage in my life, I can help. I've had a lot of young moms say, "I want to know."
mm.
The sun went behind a cloud, and now I'm very dark. But um, I encourage them that it's okay to have a life outside of your kids, and that's also like taking a break. Sometimes we need to realize that we're not just a mom, we're not just a wife, but that
Mm,
you are Sarah and I am Cindy, and we have some things that are outside of our family. So, um,
mhm.
what do you think we can do to take breaks if we're unable to get away? If you had mentioned early, even just getting away earlier about just getting away for a night, what are some things that we can do to take breaks if we can't take like a week-long vacation?
Mhm. Um, I think after this break, I want to speak to some of the things you said earlier. I am in the right frame of mind to rejoin my life and its frenetic pace and make it slow down already. I think for regular slowdowns and breaks, you cannot substitute time with the Lord, be that worship, church meetings, or quiet times of prayer and reading. It is an absolute must. But I also think having your coffee sitting outside, just slowly sipping, or even slowing your handwriting down. I tend to
Mm,
write really fast because I have so many things on so many things to do. But if I will even just slow down the pace at which I write, it kind of brings the stress down a little bit, as crazy as that sounds. And that may not be true for everyone, but I think it can help. And everything in between, baths, longer walks, singing to your favorite tunes, going to bed early, being the first to wake up, and having the house quiet and to
mm,
yourself. All of these things can have big returns on their investment, or even meeting up with a friend for coffee, texting someone to see how their day is going and to encourage them, pray with them and for them, a phone call or FaceTime. I think that vulnerability can be very hard, but it can be refreshing too. I am part of this little writers group that there's four of us, and we text each other every day. And we have a fearless leader that she kind of takes point on sending us a scripture or a prayer. And each day we pray for us, we focus on praying for one of us. And but we also feel the freedom to share what's going on in our lives. If I need prayer and it's not my day, and I just love this group of women, and I love how they do some of the things that we've talked about, how they speak into my life, how they encourage me, how they love on me and support me, not just my spiritual journey, my place as who I am as a mom and a wife, and also as a writer. And I just love that. And I love how
mm,
you speak into my life, and you are just a constant. that is pulling me through sometimes. But I say all that to reinforce that that vulnerability doesn't come easy,
Mhm.
but
Mm.
it is so worth it to have people that see you, know you, and embrace who you are.
Yeah, I love that. And I think when we take breaks, sometimes we can be vulnerable. Sometimes we just don't feel like we have the
Mhm.
time to be vulnerable because if I open like this can of worms, I don't want to deal with it. So I'm just going to hold it in. But when we
Mhm.
take the break, even if it's to say, I'm going to FaceTime my friend who I haven't seen in months, you can just kind of
Mhm.
share and be vulnerable and then have someone speak into you. And when you talked about some of the things we can do to take breaks, I used to love to take bubble baths and I haven't in the longest time. And
Mm.
we're getting ready to move, and it has a big, deep soaking tub. And so I'm like, oh, maybe I should revisit those bubble baths. Maybe I should start doing
Mhm.
that again. And then also, where we live now, we can't walk outside because people don't always keep their dogs locked up, and it can be dangerous. But
Mm.
when we where we're moving is in a neighborhood, and so I'm looking forward to maybe after dinner, just Sean and I taking a walk, which is get
Mm.
removing ourselves from having to feel like we have to get things done around the house and we can just talk. So I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to that. And I think for me too is I like to write, and that is very creative for me. But sometimes I need to do something that's creative, not related to writing. And I love to
Mm.
go into nature and take pictures of nature. I'm not necessarily a portrait person. I've thought about taking a portrait class, but I love to take pictures of nature because I just see God's handiwork. I see his
Mm.
how like there's so many different shades of green in the trees and or in the trees and the flowers, and it's just amazing to me. So doing that also helps me to get my creative juices going and
Oh my
fill me up.
goodness, yes. Yeah, yeah, I was just gonna reinforce that. Doing something creative and just the creativity itself is a way to worship and commune with God, as well as process and express our emotions. Our ability to create is a piece that is getting really loud. I'm sorry.
Well, the comments
Um,
say they can't hear it, so
Okay, well, maybe they can now. But anyways, our ability to create is a piece of us reflecting God's image. He is a creative God. And as you said, we see that in the world around us. I think in Romans it says the un the invisible things about God are made visible in the world around us. But the practice of creating speaks to us on a very deep, on a soul level,
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, one of the things that you and I do that that really helps me to disconnect is taking meeting at the coffee shop. Or I
Mm,
have a girlfriend going and hanging out with her and her kids. But how many times do you and I say, okay, let's meet at Starbucks and we'll work?
mhm,
And then nothing gets done. And we've talked and we've just shared and we've
mm,
encouraged and we've laughed. That is an easy way to get to take a break, to just
mhm.
visit with a friend and not have to be doing something. I
Yeah, and I think too, especially for women that have little kiddos, have little ones, babies, or and it's harder for you to get out to go to a coffee shop. It is very vulnerable and very uncomfortable. I get it to reach out to a woman at your church or someone that you know that you enjoy spending time with and say, "Hey, do you mind coming over to my mess, coming into my mess for a little bit and just encouraging me or being or having a conversation, come over for coffee, that kind of thing." And as a woman that loves on those mamas that are in that newborn stage and that baby stage, the mess is absolutely the least of anybody's concerns. They love
absolutely
you. They want to spend time with you. And I'm going to tell you a secret. All of our houses have been it is.
100%.
Everybody has their level of mess.
Yeah,
So please invite women into your mess.
absolutely. at Christmas this last year, I lead a ladies' Bible study 3 times a year. And so at Christmas, I'm like, I'm going to have these ladies over. I'm going to have a
Mhm.
brunch. And I forgot that I told them half an hour earlier. We usually meet at 9:30, but I told them for this brunch, come at 9. My
Mhm.
kitchen was a disaster when they showed up. I'm like, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it now. I can't say y'all aren't coming
Mm.
in till my kitchen's clean. But I invited them into the mess. And that kind of is that
Mm.
vulnerability that you were talking about. Um, and so don't be afraid. I'm gonna echo what you said, friend. Don't be afraid to invite someone to your house thinking that
Mm.
your house has to be perfect, because you can take a break from life, inviting someone in and just sharing,
Mhm.
having just visiting. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, we can trust the Lord to
Mm.
give us the wisdom and the ability to rest, to know when to rest, how to rest. Is there anything before we end today? Is there anything you want to add?
Well, I know that we have said it before, but it bears repeating. We are meant to work from a place of rest. We are
Hmm.
not meant to earn a rest with doing work. That is a backward way of thinking, but that's a very human way of thinking about it, because in this world, especially in our American culture, we have to earn what we get. But in God's economy, in God's culture, we are gifted rest because we are his children and he loves
Amen.
us.
Amen.
And so I want to encourage us to seek his guidance to help us discern the places where we are and are not trusting him enough to rest, because
Hmm.
that's what it comes down to. It's a trust issue if we're not
Hmm.
allowing ourselves to rest and take advantage of that. Not advantage, but take a full measure of that gift
Ooh,
that
I
he's
like that.
given us.
Mm.
Because the question is, do you trust him to give you the hours to do what needs to be done and the grace to cover the rest that doesn't get done?
Amen. I
Right?
love that. So we're going to end on that because I think that is perfect. I
Mhm.
really want to say thank you for joining us. I look forward to Soul and Story, and I know Sarah does
Mhm.
too. We love coming and sharing. Um, it also gives us an excuse to talk to one another. We're always up for that. But we feel like
Mhm.
God's given us just this great audience, and we're just so thankful that you're here. So, um,
Mm.
if you are watching on Facebook, please like, and if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe so that you won't miss any of our Soul and Stories, and hit the like button. So until next time, may you have a blessed week, and we will see you soon.
Thank you for listening. This episode is over, but your writing journey continues. Visit saraturnquist.com to find links to help you achieve your writing dream.